Prodif is 10, though he looks much older. His work for a British tea company in Bangladesh has sapped his strength and damaged his eyesight. Gracinda spent her 12th birthday at home in Portugal, sewing shoes for sale in British shoe shops. Mohammed is also 12 and spends his days minding machines in Turkey's booming textile trade, which exports all over Europe. Veera Singham has never been to school. He's too busy helping his parents tap these rubber trees to keep up Malaysia's foreign earnings. Tatiane's foreign earnings are from the tourists who come to Brazil. She is trying to avoid the financial temptations of full-time prostitution. Josie is 10 and Ava is 13. They have lost that battle in the red light district of Manila. All these children are working not only for their own livelihood, but also for us, the advanced, industrialized countries of the world. Those you will meet in these 3 programs are, in many ways then, our own child slaves. Slavery was abolished 100 years ago in Brazil, but children slave in the sugar plantations more now than ever. In those days, they were kept. Now, if they want to eat, they have to work. For these, and millions of children like them, there is no escape from this modern-day slavery. After 6 hours' work in the heat of the equatorial sun, the grime of the burnt cane sticks like glue. The only place to wash is a dirty stream. While the Bezeira boys play, their father grieves for their lost future.
Quero pro futuro do meu filho uma vida melhor, né? Mas da água por diante a gente tá caminhando pro fim, né? Tudo só parece mais ruína, né? A caristia aumentando cada vez mais. E eu sei, melhor daqui pra frente não espero mais.
Eu corto, amarro, espero pelo cabo, a minha corda, cedinho, vou pro serviço, ajudo meu pai. Chego do serviço, tomo banho, almoço e vou para a escola. Chego da escola, vou buscar água. Da água vou brincar. Eu espero, quando eu crescer, espero aprender a ler e ser motorista.
De quê?
De carro, desses carros grandes, carreta.
E onde você quer morar?
Cidade, que é no Recife.
Por quê?
Que é uma vida boa.
Mas essas crianças são tão pequenas, mas eu creio que não tem mais futuro melhor. Só parece pior cada dia mais, cada dia mais. Eu acho que melhor não tem mais não.
Life hasn't got better for children who grow up in the same rat-infested houses that sheltered their slave ancestors. The work hasn't changed either. The land in Brazil is owned by a small number of wealthy landowners. They have violently opposed land reforms which would have given these people a share. They only employ men when they need them and pay them by the amount they cut. It's not a living wage and it's not a regular job. That's why the children have to work too. If the family is to survive, every little hand helps. Wherever your favorite tea leaves come from, they will probably have felt the brush of little fingers. Here in Bangladesh, young girls follow their mothers into the tea gardens, as they have done since the British brought them here from India 100 years ago. Thousands perished on the long march then. Today, children die from bad working and living conditions. The deceptively beautiful tea gardens hide a trail of broken childhoods. British companies sold the lower-grade tea estates to local owners, like the Bangladesh National Tea Corporation, who now run this estate. But they have held on to the better, more productive tea gardens, like this one, the Razidpur estate. It belongs to the Glasgow firm of James Finlay, who are the biggest tea producers in Bangladesh and who are frequently criticised for their treatment of the workforce.
এখানে অনেকেই গোসল টোসল করে, কিন্তু এই যে দেখেন কচুরি পানায় ভরা আছে, যে যার জন্য পানিগুলি বিশুদ্ধ নয়, এগুলির দ্বারা রোগ সুখের সম্ভাবনা আছে আর কি। কারণ এই দেখতেছেন কচুরি পানায় ভরপুর, পরিষ্কার পরিচ্ছন্ন সেটা না। যেটা এগুলি পরিষ্কার পরিচ্ছন্ন করা, যেহেতু এটা চা বাগানের এটা পুকুর, চা বাগানের যারা কর্তৃপক্ষ তাদের দায়িত্ব এগুলি পরিষ্কার করা। কিন্তু
Eklasa Rahman is angry about the conditions faced by the children of Razidpur, but his public protests have already earned him 4 months in jail on a trumped-up murder charge since withdrawn.
এই যে তার ওয়ালের অবস্থা, এই যে তার ছানি আছে, বৃষ্টি হলেই ঘরের ভিতর পানি পড়ে, ঘর ভিজে যায়, বাচ্চা কাচ্চা নিয়ে দুঃখ কষ্টে থাকতে হয়।
Campaigners in Britain have complained about conditions on Finlay's estates. A few years ago, they brought Eklasa Rahman to Britain to tackle the tea company about alleged breaches of the tea plantation labour rules. Finlay's denied the claims, but later ordered improvements. These fell far short of the workers' demands.
তো এই যে টিউবওয়েলগুলো পূর্বে ছিল না। আমি যখন ওই লন্ডন গিয়েছিলাম, বিবিসিতে সাক্ষাৎকার দিয়েছিলাম, তারপর ওখান থেকে আসার পর তারা এগুলি করেছে, এর আগে এগুলি ছিল না। এই কুয়াটাই তারা সংস্কার করেছে, তারা নতুন করে পাকা করেছে, রং করেছে। আমি বিবিসিতে সাক্ষাৎকার দিয়ে আসার পর তারপর এটা এইভাবে কালার করেছে। আপনারা দেখুন, এখানে খাবার পানি লিখেছে, ড্রিঙ্কিং ওয়াটার ইংরেজিতে লিখেছে, বাংলায় লিখেছে, কিন্তু তার যে পানি আপনারা দেখুন, সেই পানি আদৌ ভালো নয়। ভিতরে দেখুন, এই পানিগুলি অপরিষ্কার, বিশুদ্ধ তো নয়, এগুলিতে রোগ জীবাণু আছে, এগুলি দ্বারা আমাদের শ্রমিকদের এবং তাদের বাচ্চা কাচ্চাদের বিভিন্ন রকমের পেটের পীড়া এবং নানা রকমের লেপ্রোসিস বিভিন্ন ব্যাপার হচ্ছে। এমনকি এই সমস্ত খারাপ পানি থেকে স্কিন ডিজিজ পর্যন্ত হচ্ছে। এই যে ওই বাচ্চাগুলি এখানে এই যে বাচ্চাটা এই তারা দেখ পাটা দেখা, এই যে বাচ্চাটা এরকম ভাবে ঘা হয়ে আছে, তার চিকিৎসা হচ্ছে না। এই সমস্ত মানে খারাপ পানি এবং ভালো খাবারের অভাব থেকে এই সমস্ত জিনিস হচ্ছে। এই বাচ্চাটা এটা হাঁপানি, অ্যাজমা রোগী, কিন্তু তার উপযুক্ত চিকিৎসা হচ্ছে না এই হাসপাতাল থেকে, ডাক্তার টাকা সত্ত্বেও হচ্ছে না, যার জন্য তার জীবনটা মূল্যহীন হয়ে যাচ্ছে। এই যে অবস্থা, এই অবস্থার একটা কিছু সমাধান হওয়া দরকার আমরা মনে করি, কারণ এরাই এদেশের ভবিষ্যৎ নাগরিক। এভাবে যদি এরা শেষ হয়ে যায় তাহলে ভবিষ্যৎটা কোথায় যাবে?
There's a company hospital, mostly run by untrained staff, and a school where the only teacher spends his time as a clerk in the estate manager's office. What Eklasa wants is for people to persuade British companies at least to keep the laws of the countries they are exploiting. If that is achieved, children may not have to grow old before their time. 10-year-olds are involved in spraying lethal pesticides here.
ওষুধপত্র পাওনি ঠিক মতো?
ওষুধপত্র ঠিক মতো পায় না, সবকিছু থাকে।
তোমার সাথে আরো লোক কাজ করে নি?
কাজ করে বহুত লোক কাজ।
ওই তারারও কি এরকমই অবস্থা?
এরকমই অবস্থা।
তো কি কাজ করো? ওই ঝাটকা মারো? আর কি কাজ?
কুদারি টুদারি দেয়।
এর কাজগুলি কষ্টের কাজ নেই?
কষ্টের কাজ।
বেতন কত দেয়?
10 টাকা।
10 টাকা।
These children aren't part of the local Bengali community or culture. They grow up on the plantation, not speaking the same language, and are unable to go to the local primary school. But this School Under the Sky project was set up 5 years ago, giving a few children the exceptional chance of an education once their work is over for the day.
You know, our country is poor country, and people just think today how they have to survive. They don't think about future. The children will get education and get good job like this. Because they are poor, they have to get something for today. They're thinking how to, they have proper food, and that's why early age they send to their children for work. In future, maybe they will become one day like garden manager or clerk, they'll get good job and their life will be better,
The modern buildings and roads of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia's capital city, seem to be a triumph of third world development. But behind the elegant facade lies a squalor that reflects the deep racial divisions in this society. The Malays rule, the Chinese run the business sector, and the Indians do the dirty work. Ravi is one of many children employed to sort out the refuse on the town dump. These are the descendants of Indians who were imported by the British at the turn of the century to work as labourers on the rubber plantations. And that's where most of the Indians continue to work today, unprepared for a life anywhere else outside the plantations. Though schools are free, uniforms, books and transport are not, so children follow their parents to work instead. Vera Singham is 12 years old.
காலையில் மரம் வெட்டுறாள மங்கை தடிக்கிறாள பால் எடுக்கிறாள அப்போ 12 மணிக்கு முடியும் அதோடு முடிஞ்சிடும் வீட்டுக்கு 7:30 மணிக்கு வேலை ஆரம்பிப்போம்.
The area is hot, humid and infested with real mosquitoes, but these children are used to that. Vera Singham's sister Radha is 10 and already resigned to spending a lifetime trudging in her mother's footsteps.
மங்கை தடிப்பேன் உட்காந்துருப்பேன். எங்கள் அம்மா மரம் வெட்டு கொண்டானே எங்கள் அம்மா பாடுப்பாங்க, வீட்டுக்கு வந்துடுவாங்க, வேலை செய்வாங்க, கறி வைப்பாங்க, கறி வைப்பாங்க, சோறு வைக்குவாங்க.
The liquid collected from the trees is latex. It was a declining export for Malaysia until the arrival of AIDS. The demand for condoms and surgical gloves has caused rubber prices to boom. But an upturn in trade hasn't helped the estate workers, whose living conditions are virtually unchanged since this estate was built in 1914. They either turn to drink or to their gods. Vera Singham spent hours in prayer at a Hindu temple built with donations from the rubber tappers' paltry pay.
எங்கள் அம்மா வேலை செய்வாங்க, எங்கள் அம்மா வேலை செய்வாங்க, வேலை செஞ்ச உடனே எங்கள் அம்மா படம் வைப்பாங்க, போய் படம் வைத்த உடனே சாப்பிடுவாங்க, படுத்துவாங்க போய்.
Rubber plantation is a change about a lot of things, but in the working condition of the plantation workers, there is no any change. Still, it's as usual, like when it's a British time after independence, now it's still the same thing for the estate of life of estate workers.
Some British firms stayed in Malaysia after independence, but have been forced recently to hand over control of their companies to the Malaysian government. One such company is Harrison's. The government now own it and run it. Officially, no children work here. Employing them is illegal. But it is not difficult to find them helping their parents to tap their daily quota of 400 trees. Others work long hours for subcontractors, planting, weeding and clearing.
They follow the parents in the field, you know what kind of environment they have. So they don't think anything for their futures, the education level. They're thinking only after that, maybe the fathers teach the son, okay, this is your level, why not you follow with me? After I retire, I continue my jobs. The kind of things they end with this. As a young time, they already put in the mind in like a poison, you know. So this is your work, this is your job, this is your environment.
There are 22,000 children condemned to a life of toil in Malaysia's plantations. In Mexico, in the fertile fields around the town of Irapuato, these 12 and 13-year-old girls are ordered back to work to harvest food, not for their fellow Mexicans, but for consumers in the USA. The vegetables are grown under contract for American multinationals, mostly Birdseye, Del Monte, and Green Giant. Many locals are angry that their land, their lives, and their produce are so ruled by foreign powers.
Oh, it depends on the type of labor that is being done. For very light labor, transplanting or harvesting this type of crop, you can use younger kids because the labor is not intensive or not heavy. But the heavier labor obviously is done by the men. What you're seeing here are what we call snow peas that we grow here in Mexico and pack fresh and market in through the United States. We deal with probably 120 local growers on a 12-month basis. We probably put $10 million back into the local economy with the economic problems that Mexico has faced. Farmers have done much better with a guaranteed contract with Green Giant than on their own.
Al contrario, están precisamente por esa producción. Hay una generación impresionante de riqueza, porque es producción que se vende en el extranjero, que se paga en otra moneda y que al compararse los salarios, bajos salarios que pagan aquí, con las grandes ganancias que obtienen en la venta, no solamente no ingresan divisas al país, sino que sacan lo poco o lo mucho que se pudiera obtener de esa producción.
I remember a time when everything was cheap.
There are Mexicans, millions of them, who help produce food for the American consumer in the United States itself. Leading a nomadic existence in shabby labor camps, the Mexicans move around with the work, chasing jobs through the fields of North America.
Tell me how can a poor man stand such times as these?
For many years, it's been a paradox in this country, the richest country on earth, that farm workers still have to have their families come and work with them to survive as a unit. Our union, led by Cesar Chavez, the United Farm Workers, has fought for many years to bring the wages and conditions up to where people can be paid for the work that they do rather than for what the company can get away with. This is the Melchor family of Waimama, Florida. They had an interesting case with a grower here in the strawberries where we figured they were earning about 86 cents an hour rather than the $3.35 minimum wage. So they sued the company, and the grower had to settle for enough to bring them up to $3.35 an hour. But an interesting part of the settlement was that he had to come out to the field and apologize to them when he brought their check. Joanne, how old were you when you first started going to the fields?
About 10 or 11 years old.
What does that mean to you? How did you feel about having to go out?
Well, I miss things that other kids got to do. Like, I don't know, going out, having fun with your friends. Mostly all my friends would have to go to work too, so we were all in it together.
No tenemos para sostener a toda la familia nosotros.
Because he says he doesn't have enough money to pay for everything and for us. Because they don't give us enough money, and what we help in, we pitch in, it makes it more, and it helps a lot.
When you work in the tomatoes, how much do they pay?
It's
40 cents.
It's 40 cents, but what they take off, you only get out 35 cents out of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's for a bucket of about how many pounds?
I think about
35 pounds.
30.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
How long have they been paying 40 cents?
A very long time. I think about 10 years now.
¿De qué? Tomate? 18 años.
18 years.
18 years.
the Baum labor camp. It's owned by Moran Grove Corporation, which is owned by the Gardenier family of France. We've been holding meetings in this camp for the United Farm Workers over the last 2 seasons. And last season we had a family that was thrown out of this camp because they didn't take the family to work. The requirements for the families here is that there has to be 4 workers or you don't get a house. We had a family with a sick child, so the mother stayed home last year and the father was suspended from work for 3 days.
This is Belle Glade, a former slave town in Florida. 120 years after slavery was abolished, the question is, in places like this, for some American citizens, does it still survive?
Okay, today, class, we're having a discussion about migrant workers. Do we have any students in here that go along with their families to do any kind of farm work? Let's find out some of the places you go and tell us some of the things that you do while you're away with your family.
Sometimes we go to the field.
And what do you work in when you're out in the field?
Help my granddad drive tractors.
Okay, you help your grandfather drive the tractors.
We go to Michigan. We work cucumbers and raspberries.
Okay, how old do you have to be when you're out in the fields, Christina? Is there an age limit? No?
We go to Georgia every year, and we go to the fields and do onions, cut onions, and pick cucumbers.
Henry, how much money do they normally pay for picking watermelons? Do they pay you by the day? Do they pay you by the piece?
The day.
They pay you by the day. How much money do they pay you by the day?
$55.
$55 a day. Do they pay that? Everybody, or that just for yourself?
Everybody.
For everybody. When I was about your age, I too worked in the fields as a migrant worker. And I went to the same school, and I worked here in Belle Glade in the fields. And as I look around and I look at some of you, I know some of you becomes a little bit depressed at times because you cannot get to school on time. I know that when I talk with a lot of you and I ask you, where are you coming from? And a lot of you say, we're just coming from Texas. I understand. I understand, and I know because I've been there. So I just want you to know this. Those of you that have to work in the fields, do what you have to do, but at the same time, continue to work as hard as you can in school. And don't feel that because you're a migrant worker, you cannot be successful.
Them that's got shall have, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own.